I got MinSized. Let's take a look. Well, folks, welcome back. This is Mike. Welcome back to the Boxer's Dugout, and hope some of you find this video interesting. It's kind of a culmination of several things I've had going on, but I will say the thing that pushed this over the edge to get this out was John Wade Boggs Collector just posted a video where he had cracked out a BVG graded 52 Bowman not Roger Maris, but a Stan Musial card. And he sent it off to PSA to be graded again and hold it in a PSA holder. And it came back MinSized not met, which was a real disappointment for him. And he's soliciting advice as to how maybe to or what to do next. And I'm not sure what he should do next yet, but this seemed to kind of mesh with a couple other things I've had going on. If you remember my intro video, I've made mention of a size study I was doing on 1971 Topps baseball cards. No other reason for the 71 year to be selected other than I already had a nice sample of cards to start that study with. And I've been progressing through that. I hope to have something out in video format about that study by now, but it's turned into one of those situations where the more data I collect, the more questions I have. And I've been kind of keeping that on the down low until I get a little further along. But I have measured about 1,000 cards at this point from about 3 different groups, and it's all been really interesting. And then the other thing that kind of got me going down this road for this video is my son and I purchased a collection from a friend of mine who's a little bit older than me, and it was his childhood cards bought in 70, 71, and 72. Not a very big collection, maybe not even 600 cards total, split between 70 and 71 Topps basketball, 71 baseball, 71 football, and a few other odds and ends thrown in. But these cards were in pretty good shape, so we took about 7 of them and sent them to PSA to get graded. And one of them came back MinSized, which is one that I showed in the cold open. It was a 71, 72 Topps Pete Maravich second year card. This thing was a blazer. Really looked good. No surface defects. The front side looks great. A little bit off center on the back, but not terrible. So 5 or a 6, maybe a 7 we were hoping for, but no, MinSized. So now it got personal. And backing up to the 71 Topps baseball size study I was doing, I'd been in communication with PSA's customer service, just asking them very detailed questions about their N6 minimum size not met designation and no holder of those cards, and trying to get them to tell me something that wasn't apparent on their website through just keep asking, putting a lot of nuance in my questions, being very specific about other things. And finally they did come up with something that I'm not sure was a secret, but I don't think it's on their website currently. And we can take a look at the email that I got back that deals with that response. So this is the PSA email I got back with this particularly interesting information. I've redacted the name of the customer service person because I didn't want to get them in any kind of trouble. Who sent me this is not important, other than it was from PSA, a PSA representative. If we skip down here to the third paragraph, the N6 minimum size requirement refers to a card that is significantly smaller than the factory specifications. Size specifications and standards come directly from the manufacturer. However, what is acceptable for grading is determined by PSA based on their grading standards. Okay, so they've come up with this on their own to some degree. They go on to say for an item to receive a numerical grade, it needs to be within 1/32 of an inch according to the factory specifications. Now that's a little bit vague. I think we're left to assume they mean the nominal size, 1/32 of an inch from the nominal size of the card, which in this case would be a standard 2.5 width, 3.5 length format for the card. So if a card is a 30-second or smaller. I'm not sure which side of that they'd fall on, but smaller, more than a 32nd of an inch, undersized from the nominal dimension, they're going to N6 it. They're not going to holder it. They're not going to grade it. And then drop down this fourth paragraph, which in the end is probably going to be the most important statement in this entire email, even though they give me this 32nd of an inch information. Additionally, please note the final result is up to the discretion of our experts. So we'll see how that might come into play in a minute. So there we've got a definition from PSA that it's has to be within a 32nd of an inch of the factory specification. We're going to assume for the purpose of this video and for my study that they mean the nominal size of 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches. So what's that look like? Well, we can get into Excel and take that number or take that reality, and we can create a target zone. This is kind of quick and dirty, so don't mind if the colors don't line up with the edges of the graph and all that. This is just more for visual representations, and I wanted to make it square so it's easy to read. So what we have on the x-axis is the width, 2.4 inches up to 2.6 inches. And then on the y-axis, we have 3.4 inches to 3.6 inches for the total length. The dot right in the middle of this square plot is the nominal 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches. So if we come off those dimensions by a 32nd of an inch and strike a line, we get this smaller box, which is the green one, that shows what should be the acceptable landing zone, if you will, for a card that's going to get a numerical grade. If it falls outside that line to the underside sides of the line, we're going to end up in this L-shaped red area, and those cards in theory should not receive a numerical grade because they're going to be under their 32nd of an inch specification or allowance, and they're going to be too small by their standard. So now we've got a target zone. We can actually go measure a card and see what we got. So how are we going to measure a card? You could use a cheap ruler like this. This one's only graduated to a 1/16 of an inch. So this one's really going to be useless for measuring a card unless you're just checking to see where it falls to the nominal, maybe of 2.5 inches, 3.5 inches. Not very good. Not very good for measuring cards. Another option is just to get a better quality ruler. This is an engineer's 6-inch scale. It's metric on one side and it's decimal inches on the other. So it's graduated to tenths of an inch on one edge and hundredths of an inch on the other side. So if you're more comfortable playing in decimal inches versus fractional inches, that's a good way to go. But still, when you get down to the graduations on the scale or the ruler, you're going to be splitting hairs because you're not going to get an exact measurement there. You're going to get a better idea than a really poor ruler. But still, we can do better than that. Give me a second here. We're going to do better than that. And maybe you've seen somebody use one of these. It's just a caliper. This is a digital caliper. If you're familiar with a dial or a vernier caliper, you could use that as well. But digital is quick and easy for everybody. You can get a good, pretty accurate measurement with a good, even a decent pair of calipers. Don't have to be an expensive pair, even for the digital ones. These have gotten pretty good, even the inexpensive pairs over the years. The problem with measuring cards with this is it's made out of tool steel, and the edges are sharp and the tips are sharp, and it doesn't take much to gouge or scratch a card or impart some damage on a card trying to measure it that way. So what did I do for my card study? Well, based on the digital part of this, you can go out and buy an inexpensive linear digital readout, and it's going to look like this. You can see this is very similar as a 6-inch digital readout, and I've mounted it to a base plate. Then I've got a backstop for the card, and I've got a mobile gauge stop that's attached to the digital readout. And you can zero this, then pull it away, drop a card in it, and cinch it up on the card and get a good measurement. In this case, we got a 63 tops Tommy Davis, and looks like Mr. Davis's width in this case is 2.497 inches. So this card is a mere 0.03 of an inch under the nominal size of 2.5 inches. And then it's just a matter of flipping the card around and taking the length measurement. And now we're at 3.499. So a very small thousandth of an inch under the nominal length of 3.5 inches. So I made this. This one's kind of a prototype. You can see it's got a relieved corner like the corners of a graded card case. I really don't use that. One reason is I dropped that piece and broke it before I got it mounted on here. So the back stop and then the bottom stop aren't square anymore. The other issue with trying to put it in a corner like that is these cards quite often aren't cut very square. So if you put it down in the corner and try to line up two sides and close the gauge on it, it can give you a bad reading, and it could end up even with this type of device damaging the card. So we're not going to do that. I'm going to be making another one of these that's got a lot more refinement in it. This was just a quick and dirty, some laser cut parts on a digital readout that I made up pretty quick. It's some spare time at work, and it works pretty well. I can burn through a stack of cards measuring length and width, 150 cards in less than 20 minutes using this thing. And another nice feature with this digital readout that I have is there's an optional patch cable you can buy, and you can plug that in to the digital readout crosshead there, and then you can plug it into your computer with Excel open, and you can measure the card, get the measurement, and click a button on the patch cable. It'll log that number in Excel and then advance to the next cell below it. So you can really crank through the cards and generate a lot of data. And this is what has allowed me to measure so many 71 Topps baseball cards. So what did we end up with as far as a dimension on the card that was MinSized, the Pete Maravich card? This guy. Well, this card ended up measuring 2.499 inches in width and 494 inches in length. So it is really close to the nominal on the width, and it's not very small on the length either. What does that mean as far as our target zone goes? Well, if we jump back to our graph, we've got this target zone. So where does that card fall in the target zone or not? So, all right, we still see the dot in the middle. That is 2.5 by 3.5. This dot slightly to the left and a little bit below, but still well in the green area per the 1/32 of an inch allowance that PSA has specified in their email. I'm a bit confused why this card ended up getting MinSized. I really, really don't understand it at all. Maybe they know something about the factor deviation more than I think they do on the factor deviation of this particular set. I really don't think they do because a card would have to average smaller to take less than a 32nd of an inch off and have it be MinSized. I've got a lot of data that I can share once I get to the 71 baseball Topps baseball size study. But for now, what I did do is I went back and took all the 71 Topps basketball commons I had that were going to be sent to auction that this card came from. Now, keep in mind, my friend bought these cards in 1971, 72 from the packs, and they've been stored ever since, and he took really good care of them. So we can look at a little bit of data here. This is a little blurry because it's blown up a little big, maybe. But target length 3.5 inches, target width 2.5 inches. You can see up at the top of this information the average across the cards I measured. The average length was 3.506 inches, and the width was 2.509 inches. So on average, the cards are slightly larger than the nominal size. This is interesting being 71 Tops basketball, because this same reality holds true in the 71 baseball set I've been measuring, and I've measured 10 times as many cards, and you still see it. Another thing we won't get into much in this video that is also holds true with the baseball set that I'm measuring is that the standard deviation on the data for the length is about half what it is for the width, which that means that there's just more variance on the width of the cards than there is the length. So the length is being held to a better, tighter distribution, a lower variance across the values that it could be compared to the width. And some of this other stuff just we'll disregard for now. That's going to have to be the topic of another video. I don't know why this card came back min-sized, and just to show you again why this is interesting to me, I did measure another card. At the time I was doing the 71 top study, it's been ongoing, but while I've been doing it, I didn't have any cards that were graded or had been min-sized. So I finally sought one out and I bought it. It's the 71 Tops second year card for Thurman Munson. I bought this from a guy who had gotten this back from a submission, and this card had been min-sized. Well, I don't have in front of me the exact dimensions that this card came back as, but here it is on our target zone. Again, center dot, nominal 2.5 by 3.5. And then off to the right and slightly below is the Thurman Munson card based on the measurements that came off my card gauge. You can see that the width of this card is over nominal. So it's actually wider than 2.5 inches and only slightly shorter than 3.5 inches. So again, this card is within PSA's own prescribed range for acceptable for grading cards. And I think I'm just gonna have to put all this together in a PowerPoint and send it to them and see if they'll explain it to me. I don't know what's going on here. I'd later like to know how they're measuring cards, because it's AI, they're just holding it up against a standard or whatever. Maybe that's true, but even if they're using an AI, it should port back to an actual physical measurement, because a physical measurement is always going to be better. So if they're using a scanner and some machine learning and some AI technology to do that, and they're just doing it willy-nilly, then they've got an implementation problem, it would seem. And all this has just been a curiosity for me, and I appreciate anyone else's comments about cards that have gotten min-sized. If anybody has a min-sized card and want it measured, maybe I could do that. I don't know. You can get in touch with me. And if anybody has any 71 Tops min-sized cards that they can prove that this was a card that they submitted and it was min-sized and they're not married to it, I might be interested in taking it off your hands for my size study. So thank you. There's gonna be more of this to come. I'm not sure what to make of all of it yet, but clearly this is not as simple as cards being too small or even trimmed for that matter. That's a whole different designation from PSA, obviously, but just real curious what's going on here. So thank you for your time, and I'll be back with more content just as soon as I can get it out. Thank you.